Welcome, everybody, to another session of the Choice Chats. Those of you who follow us, thank you so much. As you know, these microcasts are a love letter to those who've made a pivotal choice in their life that led to a better tomorrow. And so I am humbled, honored to have here with us the fantabulous Mai Moore. Hi, Mai.
Thank you, Loren.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm blessed. And thank you so much, Loren, for having me. And, I admire you and I'm grateful just to be here. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. When we met a few years ago. Gosh, I think it's 3 years now. We met through Chief, and the minute I heard your story, I was beyond inspired because we've all been through some sort of adversity, but not many have turned it into a mission. And so you've done that, and I would love for our listeners to hear about your journey. What got you here?
Thank you, Loren. My journey starts with me simply being human. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, with a single mom who's Japanese, who was the assistant concertmaster of the Cleveland Orchestra for 34 years. And I lived in a very multicultural part of Cleveland called Cleveland Heights, which really, I think, shaped me for the future. I had the privilege of being able to also travel to a lot of different countries when I was younger. And I, I was in the tech industry for 20 years, helped two companies go public. And I was living in New York City and Los Angeles, and I moved back to Cleveland. And that was, I think, where a lot of chiefs or a lot of executive women are right now. That was a pivotal point for me that I had had enough, right? I was in that corporate space. I experienced with what many of us experience, women pulling each other down. There's one spot for a person to move up into an executive role for either a woman or a minority. There was all of those feelings I had felt at that moment. And at that moment, I was like, I've had enough. And so moved back to Cleveland. And that's really when I would say my calling and my purpose just like dumped on me. I've always been someone who watches, who's paying attention, who's listening to people. And I've always been a person that's been very open-minded to different cultures and different people in different ways. And I saw a huge divide in Cleveland where it was just boggling my mind that there were 27,000 nonprofits in Northeast Ohio. And I don't know if you know this, but Cleveland is one of the most wealthiest cities in the country because it has very old school money. But then I saw young people who are in this pandemic and state of toxic stress, and it just didn't make sense to me. And so that's really where my calling got started. And I had co-founded a nonprofit called EYEJ, Empowering Youth Exploring Justice, which is really about empowering young advocates for change. And so I served literally 2,000 young people and teaching them how do you actually go beyond the idea of what you want to see in this world to actually, putting it into fruition. And so really tackled a lot of different social injustice areas. And, through that part of my life, and like I had mentioned, I had a lot of success before. I mean, I stood on Times Square on NASDAQ. I've made a lot of money. And I risked it all. I risked it all because I really believed in EYJ. I really believed in young people. I heard so many stories and I witnessed so much adversity. And it just inspired me. And I saw diverse people, come to help EYJ. And so I felt a lot of hope there. But I risked a lot because, as you know, once you start working with the underserved, it may seem like it's glamorous if you're actually putting policies into place and all this kind of stuff, but it's hard work. And I put my full self into my work. And there was a point that I was actually homeless as a single mom for a moment. People don't know that. But I kept going. kept going because I was like, there's something here. We're making impact. And I've been through a lot of other things, just like, as you said, as you have, and many different women, doesn't matter the background, through different parts of my life. But I left EYEJ, I think it was after 10 years, completely burnt out, but I wanted to make bigger impact because I knew that, I'm a type of person that maybe this is a fault of mine, but I'm very like straight to the point. Where is the real problem here? Where's the foundation? Because we can do all this work until we're blue in the face, but if we're not getting to the root of the issue, we're wasting our time. And so EYJ was very focused on government and changing, policies and social action and different injustices. But I wanted to then think about the corporate side. And so I became a chief, just as you, Loren, and was really paying attention to women and Great Resignation, pay gap issues, DEI, burnout. That was happening a couple of years ago. But I was really inspired by chiefs just like yourself, Loren, about your story. So same thing, right? I feel like our authentic storytelling is a real tool to help not only inspire, but be honest, and be more human and be more authentic to young people, because young people, they don't trust anymore the mask that people may wear, or all the lies, or all look at what we've done to this world, right? And so how do we be more honest with them? And so started doing these speaker series in a coalition with 34 other chiefs. Was just inspired by everyone's story, and then became a founder of a company called Boss Me In, which is all about bridging the intergenerational gap for the future of work through connection, inclusivity, and transformation. And so I launched that. When did I launch that? Last year. And then I launched another business. And then I'm working on another initiative now. But you ask about when was that point, or, that adversity. I think, unfortunately, us that are, it doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what socioeconomic level you are right now. Everybody is faced, I feel like, with adversity in some way these days. And so, to your point, Loren, I just took that. I'm a very action-oriented person, and I self-reflected and I grew from that. And I said, wait a minute, let's pour that into purpose. That's what this world is about. And that's what this world demands, is us to step into our purpose fully right now.
I mean, first, I think you covered all my questions, which is what I love about you, right? Because you are like, the Energizer Bunny has nothing on you, okay? I think I could count with my hands the friends that I have that, operate in this way. And here I think I'm handling a lot of things. But
Yeah.
what really inspired me when I met you, and I hope our listeners are picking up on this as you speak and share your story, is how aligned you are with your purpose, right? That you discovered this at a very young age. Yes, you grew up and were raised in a certain way, but here you had such a bigger perspective that you were able to see what was going on around you. That in and of itself is what purpose is all about. It's not that I woke up one day and I have this purpose and great, yay, I'm going to do. It's you were viscerally moved by this purpose, and everything that you do reflects that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think purpose is obviously a hot topic, and I wouldn't say like at that moment I was like searching for my purpose. I was open-minded, I was listening, I was witnessing, I was staying authentically in the moment and receiving, but also actively knowing that people need help, or I have this skill there, or I have a passion there, or that inspires me, or that brings me joy. And using that kind of combination to actually put that into action. I think also what I'm really grateful for is I have a lot of entrepreneurial experience. And I really feel like entrepreneurs are an answer for this world right now because we are the most flexible. We are extreme problem solvers. We are nimble. Each day is different. We are paying attention. We are connected to people. And that I think is part of this equation as well. But I do know, a lot of people are searching or thinking about their purpose right now or putting it into action. And I commend everyone who is doing that. And just know that you're not alone. There's a lot of us that are in that space right now, which is so exciting for this world. Because before, when I was doing it, there weren't a lot of people. No one was talking about purpose. And it wasn't it wasn't a hot thing, so to speak. So it's an exciting time, in my opinion.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And what's beautiful to see is how the younger generation is driving a lot of it. I think, we discovered it later in life, but the younger generation is discovering it earlier. And that in and of itself is inspiring. I want to know what was that moment that really catapulted you to make that choice? Was it leaving EYJ? What was that moment that really led you to make that pivotal choice in your life?
The choice to what? To step into my purpose?
To step into your purpose and what you're doing today.
I think it's a combination of things. I think at some moments, if you're a woman or you're underserved, you don't have a choice in some ways. You have to figure out how to make it, how to survive. That's part of it. That hunger. That's
Mm.
part of it. I think another part of it is I'm a Libra and I'm very much about justice, and I cannot stand when there's injustice. I just so organically can feel it or know it, like instantly, and it just makes me sick. And so instead of getting sick, I'm like, okay, what do I do about it? I acknowledge that, but then how do I turn that into action? And I wanted to also, it's not only that, it might be also selfish too, because I related to youth. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard. I felt very misunderstood most of my life. And so it's also relating with people. And young people, what I love about them is they are so pure. They're so authentic, right? And they're honest, and that's very attractive to me. And how could I, it's very fascinating because I just got this email actually from my church, and it said their sermon for Sunday, they put the bulletin out, and it said, imagine as if you were a child. And that's in the space right now. I just got a chill right now. That's where we're at right now, is how do we get back to that place of imagining like a child, our dreams, that pureness in creating the world that we want to be in and see. So I think that's a big question, Loren. But I think also it's about self-leadership too, and being in tune with yourself, which is what is drastically needed right now for everybody right now. And I've luckily, just the way that I was raised, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I've faced a lot, just like all of us, but I was taught to be an individual. And I raised my daughter that way. Be yourself. That's what my parents taught me. And so I feel actually privileged that way. Maybe that's even spoiled in some way.
No, it is definitely not. It's great that you passed on that wisdom to your daughter, right? Recognizing that in many regards, being authentic and being yourself is in and of itself a privilege, because there are some members of our society that don't have the privilege to be themselves. They'll be
Yes.
chastised and sometimes even violently attacked for their authenticity.
Yes.
So, owning that and appreciating that for the privilege that it is also something that we have to embrace,
Yes.
right? So it's great that you're passing on this wisdom. And that leads to my next question, right? What is that one thing that you would like to leave our listeners with today?
I know that there's a lot happening in the world. And it does not matter the social economic level, the education level, the industry you're in. Um, we are all facing a lot right now. But what I can tell you, again, working with over 4,000 young people, is that we are in an incredible place for purpose, innovation, and authentic storytelling. And maybe, I'm not sitting here saying you have to go and create all these businesses like me or whatever, got to go do public speaking. You don't need to do all that. But pay attention to what you're feeling, pay attention to your desires, pay attention to your dreams, pay attention what brings you joy right now. It means something. Don't put yourself down, don't diminish them, because that's what culture has taught us in the past. You have to listen to that because they are important. That's what I have to say.
My mic drop. I appreciate you for sharing that, because you're right. Living this out means something different for everybody, right? For some, it may be, getting your PhD. For some, it may be public speaking. For some, it may mean mentorship. For some, it may mean being a great mom, being a great daughter, a great sister, whatever it is, connect to that.
Yes.
That's going to make an impact.
Yes.
Thank you, Mai. Thank you, everybody, for listening today. I appreciate you. Until next time.